Monster Hunter World is a game where you can spend dozens of hours playing and still know absolutely nothing about what you're doing. This game starts off in a world where cats mostly are service industry employees. They sell food, they do everything nobody else wants to. It's a game where you can have so many customization options down to the smile. Even your cat's color is an option. The whole point of this run is, can I defeat every monster in base game Monster Hunter World with just tier 1 equipment? I could have gone with the Defender set, but let's be honest, that completely defeat the purpose of the run. So I went with the chainmail instead. I'll be sticking with only tier 1 armor throughout all this. We're immediately introduced to the Handler, everybody's favorite character.
Meowdy-doo.
Try to save her over your cat, because that makes a whole lot of sense. While you watch your cat tumble to its death, you reach in vain for her. After sliding down the nose of the monster that just wrecked your ship, you latch on to whatever that was, and somehow don't break your arm, grabbing the Handler, and just like that, welcome to Monster Hunter World, where everything is most likely trying to kill you in one way or another. Once you land, you're immediately introduced to the ancient forest area and the Jagresses. You're also introduced to the baseline plot of every time the Handler's with you, which is her getting attacked from monsters and you saving her. After hiding in the bushes, the Jagresses run away, and we get to move on to the rest of the mission. You also get introduced in this level to tracking, and your character's obsession with sniffing random animal pieces. Once the Big Daddy Jaggers shows up, Dollar Store T-Rex saves you, and you get to run on, continuing the mission and introducing yourself to the hub, Astera. You see your cat again, and instead of it saying hi to you, its partner for who knows how long, it runs over and hugs the woman it met for 30 seconds before the ship sunk. Now, I chose the Charge Blade for this run, just because of its sheer damage potential, and it's got a pretty good shield, one of the best shields in the game. It's the Defender set, but it's still technically only tier 1, so I stuck with it and took the advantage where I could get for now. Once all that's made, I went ahead and went to the next mission, where you're reintroduced to the Great Jagras. After watching it fill its belly and dropping a rock directly on its face that's the size of a state, I chopped it up and introduced it to the new Charge Blade. Now, as mentioned earlier, only tier 1 armor is what I'll be wearing from now on. I tried to base it as balanced as possible in the defense stats, so I'm trying to go for balance for this run for later on when I'm facing the more elemental, high-level enemies. I also made sure that my cat was only equipped with tier 1 gear, in weapons and armor, just to make it that much more fair for the run, so I can say I did it when I eventually do it. If I eventually do it. I hope. Moving on to the next mission, I'm supposed to fight a new monster. After killing it with a headbutt to a wall, and then a slingshot to the face, I moved on to the next monster. Coming up next is the Pookie Pookie. And then of course I had the Dollar Store T-Rex return, and when I thought that a turf war would ensue and help me, it decided instead to turn right around and go straight for me. After realizing my mistake, my cat also learned the hard way, and I finished off the Pookie Pookie relatively quickly, with an axe to the face. Next up was the Rathian, but that was a side monster. I thought I could defeat it like I thought I could defeat the Anjanath when it was introduced earlier, but you're actually, I'm guessing, not supposed to defeat these monsters when they introduce them in this way. I chased the Anjanath all around the place earlier when it was first introduced, and I did the same here. I died multiple times and eventually gave in and let my pride I let it go. I gave up. So the actual point of that mission was to fight the Baroth, which was, once again, relatively easy. Thankfully, this early on, the tier 1 gear can hold up. I also encountered a glitch where while mounting the monster, I kept doing the finishing blow and it just sat there and sat there and sat there until finally it fell over and I was able to finish it off. Up next is the first Piscine Wyvern. It's basically going to eat what I killed last mission with the Baroth. I smacked it around a bit in the mud, finished it off with the supercharge attack, and moved on to what was next. Once again getting creeped on by a monster, I was introduced to the Tobi Kadachi. It's basically like a gigantic snake-flying squirrel. After proving how terrible I was with the Charge Blade, I gave it a few more smacks and slammed it into a wall, finishing it off and moving on to the actual fight with the Dollar Store T-Rex and Anjanath. I immediately wanted to get revenge for what happened earlier with the Pookie Pookie, so I threw it into a wall and then prepared to do it again by grabbing more slinger ammo. Trying to channel my inner weeb, I finished it off with relative ease. Like I said earlier, tier 1 gear isn't much of a problem at this point, and I can only imagine getting harder as the run goes on. I chased it to its sleeping spot, and after a few more slices, I finished it off hoping that Samurai Jack was watching and was proud. The next mission requires you to fight Zorah Magdaros, the monster that destroyed your ship in the beginning. After missing horribly with the cannon, busting a few lava pimples, the mission moved on and introduced Nergigante. After completely failing of stopping the giant mountain-sized monster, the story moves on to the next part of the run. From here, it's only going to get harder, so stay tuned for part 2 as I move on to the next segment of the quests. Going forward from here on out, I'll be introduced to a common problem, which is my weapon bouncing off of monsters. So I'll probably move over to the light bowgun or the heavy bowgun as this run goes on, but the rules will be the same. Only tier 1, only the first defender weapon in the tree. I hope y'all liked what you see, and I hope you'll stick around for part 2. Drop a like or leave a comment, and have a great day.